She returned home, her heart full of hope, ready to find the great love that had promised to await her. But what Elisa found was a nightmare she never imagined possible. She caught her boyfriend having an affair with her stepmother, and when she tried to tell the truth, her father didn't believe her. A story about betrayal, manipulation, but above all, about the strength that is born when you lose everything and decide to rebuild. Your opinion is very important to us, so if you're enjoying it, leave a comment, like it, and subscribe to the channel. This kind gesture will help our channel write new, exciting stories for you. The soft rain of Boston painted the cobblestone streets silver as Elisa pushed open the heavy door of a small pub. Warmth wrapped around her like an embrace, melting away the cold that clung to her coat. She'd spent the entire day buried in books at the university library, chasing the deadline for her master's thesis. As she looked for an empty table, a familiar voice broke through the hum of laughter and music. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" a man asked in Portuguese. Surprised, Elisa looked up to see two men smiling at her. The taller one, with light brown hair and confident eyes, held 2 pints of beer. The other, quiet and observant, lingered just behind. "Go ahead," she said, smiling. "I'm Marcos, and this is Mateus," the tall one said as they sat down. "Didn't expect to meet another Brazilian here." Elisa laughed softly. "Boston feels a little less lonely now." Their conversation flowed like they'd known each other for years. Marcos filled the air with stories. Funny, charming, impossible to ignore. Mateus, on the other hand, watched silently, his gaze steady and kind, as if he truly saw her. But every time their eyes met, Marcos would crack another joke, pulling her back into his orbit. Hours slipped by. When Elisa finally glanced at the clock, it was past midnight. "I should go," she said, standing up. "I'll walk you to the station," Marcos offered instantly. Outside, under the soft drizzle, he held his umbrella over her. They talked about home, the beaches, the sunlight, the things they missed. At the subway entrance, Marcos gently took her hand. "Can I see you again?" Elisa hesitated, her heart racing. "I'd like that." From across the street, Mateus watched silently, hands deep in his coat pockets, a quiet ache in his chest. He had waited too long to speak, and now, maybe, it was too late. The days that followed felt like spring in the middle of winter. Marcos brought color back into Elisa's life. Dinners, long walks, laughter echoing. Through quiet Boston streets, she felt alive again, lighter, as if she'd found what she didn't even know she was missing. But one evening, as they shared pasta at a small Italian restaurant, Marcos took her hand. "I need to tell you something," he said softly. "The project I'm working on is ending. I have to go back to Brazil." Elisa froze. The words hit harder than she expected. "Just when I was starting to know you," she whispered. "It doesn't have to end," he said, eyes warm and persuasive. "We can make it work. Let's make it official. Will you be my girlfriend?" She smiled through the ache in her chest. "Yes, I want that." 2 months later, the day of his departure arrived. At the airport, Elisa handed him a small gift, a vintage watch for her father, Mike. "Will you give this to him? It'll be a good excuse to visit," she said, trying to smile. Marcos laughed gently. "I'll treat him like my own father." They held each other for a long moment, her tears soaking into his jacket. "1 month," she whispered. "That's all." "It'll fly by," he promised, kissing her forehead. And as he disappeared beyond the gate, Elisa stood there, heart full of hope, completely unaware that this goodbye was the beginning of a story she would never forget. In Miami, Mateus kept his word. Just a few days after arriving, he called Mike and arranged to visit, to deliver the small gift Elisa had sent from abroad. Mike's house was elegant, surrounded by well-tended gardens that mirrored his success. "Good to finally meet you in person," Mike said, shaking his hand warmly. "Elisa talked a lot about you." From the living room, a woman with short brown hair stood up. Anne, Mike's wife, was striking, the kind of beauty that knows exactly the effect it has. Her smile was perfect, but somehow too polished. "So, you're Elisa's boyfriend?" she asked smoothly, extending her hand. Matthias held it a second too long. There was something in that touch, a spark neither of them wanted to name. "Nice to meet you," he said, forcing himself to look away. Lunch was pleasant. Mike spoke proudly about his daughter, how brilliant, how determined she was. "Take good care of my girl," he said, clapping Matthias on the shoulder. "She deserves someone who sees her worth." "I will," Matthias replied automatically, though his thoughts were elsewhere. From across the table, Anne watched him with an enigmatic smile behind her wineglass. Days turned into weeks, and Elisa felt the distance like a quiet ache. Their video calls became routine, but something in him had changed. A distracted tone, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. "Is everything okay?" she asked one night. "Of course," he said too quickly. "Just work. I miss you. Can't wait to have you back." A week later, under a bright Miami sky, Elisa's plane touched down. She felt her heart race as she looked through the glass. And there he was, Matthias, tall, elegant, holding a bouquet of white flowers. She ran to him, her luggage forgotten. "You have no idea how much I missed you," she whispered against his chest. He hugged her, but it felt mechanical, like he was following a script. When she pulled back, something in his eyes was different. "Matthias?" she asked softly. "Is everything okay?" He smiled, distant. "Just tired, that's all. Let's go. Your dad planned something special for you." At Mike's house, the welcome was full of love. Balloons, warm food, familiar laughter. "Sweetheart, my girl's home," Mike said, hugging her tightly. Elisa smiled, her eyes wet with emotion. Anne appeared soon after, wearing a dress that shimmered under the light. Her smile was sweet, but her embrace was cold. "So wonderful to have you back, Elisa." During dinner, the air was thick with stories and laughter, but at one point, Elisa noticed something. Matthias's gaze lingered across the table, meeting Anne's for just a second too long. A silent exchange, a smile disguised by a sip of wine. Her stomach tightened. "Why does it feel like she's competing with me?" "Matthias has been great company these past weeks," Mike said cheerfully. "We've had lunch a few times. He's a good man, Elisa. Don't lose him." Matthias nodded politely, his voice clipped. "It's been an honor getting to know your family." Later that night, as Elisa helped clean the kitchen, she found herself alone with Anne. The silence between them was heavy. "Anne," Elisa began, drying her hands. "Can I ask you something?" Her stepmother turned, feigning innocence. Of course, dear. You and Matthias, did you see each other often while I was away?" Anne let out a soft, rehearsed laugh. "Only during lunches with your father. Why? Are you jealous?" she teased, but there was poison beneath the sweetness. Elisa smiled faintly. "Of course not. Just curious." When she walked back to the living room, she found Matthias hastily locking his phone, slipping it into his pocket. He looked up and smiled. That same polite, practiced smile that no longer reached his eyes. And for the first time, Elisa felt the faint but unmistakable pull of truth. Something was breaking, quietly, right in front of her. In the days that followed, Matthias played the role of the perfect boyfriend. He was attentive, affectionate, and full of promises about their future. For 2 months, life with him felt like a dream. Some days sweet and bright, others shadowed by distance. Whenever Elisa asked about his coldness, he blamed work. And blinded by love, she believed him. Then one afternoon, her father called, his voice cheerful. "Elisa, Anne and I are going away for the weekend, down to the coast. Why don't you and Matthias join us? It'll be fun, a little escape for everyone." Elisa hesitated. The last thing she wanted was to spend an entire weekend around her glamorous stepmother. but her father sounded so happy that she couldn't say no. "Of course, Dad. I'll ask Mateus." When she told him about the invitation, he agreed without hesitation. "That sounds perfect," he said. "I could use a break." The beachside hotel was charming. White balconies, soft sand, and the endless sound of waves. Mike had reserved 2 rooms side by side. The air smelled of salt and summer. On the first day, everything seemed fine. They had lunch by the water, walked barefoot along the shore, took photos as the sunset turned gold. Anne looked stunning in a white bikini that drew every glance, including Mateus's. He tried to hide it, but Elisa noticed. That night, they dined in the hotel's restaurant. Anne was radiant, her laughter echoing across the table, her hand brushing Mike's arm with practiced tenderness. But her gaze kept drifting to Mateus, and each time he looked back. "I'll head up early," Elisa said softly after dessert, forcing a smile. "I've got a headache." "Want me to come with you?" Mateus asked, polite but detached. "No need. Stay. Enjoy the evening." She showered, changed into her pajamas, and tried to sleep. But her mind wouldn't quiet down. Half an hour later, she decided to get some water. The hotel corridors were silent, the hum of music faint from the bar below. As she neared the vending machine, the elevator doors slid open, and she saw them. Mateus, Anne, locked in each other's arms, lips, hands, bodies pressed together as if the world outside didn't exist. Anne's back against the elevator wall, his fingers tangled in her hair. They didn't even notice the doors had opened. Time stopped. Elisa couldn't breathe, couldn't move. A sound escaped her throat, fragile, broken, enough to shatter the spell. They froze, Anne's face drained of color. Mateus stepped back, his hand trembling as if he'd just woken from a nightmare. "Elisa," he began. "Don't," her voice cracked. "Don't come near me." Anne stumbled out of the elevator, straightening her dress. "Elisa, please, you don't understand." "Don't understand." Elisa's voice trembled, her eyes filled with fire and tears. "You're betraying my father. You're destroying this family. It was a mistake," Anne begged, grabbing her arm. "A terrible mistake. Please, don't tell Mike, please." Elisa pulled away, as if her touch burned. Then she turned to Mateus, the man who had promised her forever. "You told me you loved me," she whispered, her voice shaking but fierce. "You lied. Elisa, He started, but no words came. "It's over," she said, tears streaming freely now. "We're over. Disappear from my life." And as she walked away, the echo of her footsteps was drowned by the crash of the waves. The same waves that had once sung of love and now whispered only of betrayal. She turned and ran down the hallway without looking back. Once inside her room, Elisa locked the door and slid down to the floor, her body shaking with violent sobs. How hadn't she seen it? How could she have been so blind? Knocking. "Elisa, please open the door." Mateus's voice cracked on the other side. "Let me explain." "Go away," she screamed. "Just go." More knocking, more begging. Then silence. The night stretched endlessly. Elisa lay curled up in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling as every moment of the past months replayed like a broken film reel. The pubs, the laughter, the whispered promises under city lights. All lies, all of it. When dawn finally came, painting the sky in soft gold and pink, Elisa had only one certainty. She couldn't tell her father. Not yet. Mike loved Anne too deeply. It would destroy him. And there was another truth, colder than the morning air. She was completely alone. Morning came harsh and uninvited. Sunlight flooded the room, mocking the darkness inside her. Elisa hadn't slept. Her eyes were swollen, her heart bruised raw. Then came the soft knock. "Elisa?" Anne's voice carried that false sweetness Elisa now despised. "Can we talk?" Elisa froze, holding her breath. "Elisa, please, we need to fix this before your father wakes up." Elisa pressed her forehead to the door, her voice hoarse. "There's nothing to fix. It was a mistake, Anne whispered urgently, "I love your father. I swear I do. Mateus, he took advantage of a weak moment. We had too much wine." "Stop." Elisa's stomach turned. "Don't insult me with excuses. I saw you. That wasn't a mistake." Silence. Then Anne's tone hardened, her words sharper. "If you tell your father, it'll destroy him. Do you really want that on your conscience?" Elisa closed her eyes, tears streaming again. Anne knew exactly where to strike. "Please," Anne continued, her voice soft again, pretending remorse. "I'll never see Mateus again. Just don't tell him. He doesn't deserve that pain." Elisa didn't answer. She just listened to the sound of Anne's heels fading down the corridor, then slid back to the cold floor, numb. An hour later, Elisa packed her things. Sunglasses hid her swollen eyes as she walked through the hotel lobby. Mateus had already left, without a word. Mike spotted her near the reception desk. "Elisa, what's going on? Why are you leaving?" "I'm not feeling well, Dad, just a stomach bug," she lied, forcing a calm tone. "You and Anne should stay and enjoy the weekend. I'll head home." He tried to insist, but she hugged him quickly and walked out before her voice could break. At the bus station, Elisa sat in a dark corner, her hands trembling. Her phone buzzed relentlessly, calls from Mateus, messages from Anne, all ignored. Through the window, the world blurred, trees, sky, towns, everything just streaks of color. Her chest ached as if someone had carved a wound too deep to heal. Days passed. Elisa shut herself inside her apartment, curtains drawn, phone off. She barely ate, barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, the elevator scene replayed, vivid and cruel. The messages piled up. Anne begging forgiveness, promising silence. Mateus pleading for another chance. "Elisa, please, I love you. Let me explain." She deleted them all. Mike called too, worried, loving, unaware. She lied again, saying she was just recovering from a virus. Each lie cut deeper, but the truth would kill him. A week crawled by. Elisa was thinner, paler, a shadow of herself. Then came the one call she couldn't refuse. "It's my birthday on Friday, sweetheart," her father said warmly. "Please come. Anne planned something special. It wouldn't be the same without you." Elisa hesitated, but his happiness broke her. "I'll be there, Dad. I promise." That Friday, the house buzzed with laughter and music. Fairy lights shimmered over the garden. Elisa arrived in a simple black dress, mourning in disguise. Mike beamed when he saw her. "You look beautiful, but too thin. Are you eating well?" "I'm fine, Dad. Happy birthday." She smiled faintly and stepped inside. Across the room, Anne stood radiant in a silver gown, the perfect hostess. Their eyes met, and in Anne's gaze, Elisa saw it, triumph. Elisa turned to leave, but then she heard a voice that froze her in place. "Elisa." She turned around. Mateus stood there, dressed in a sharp suit, a glass of whiskey in hand. He looked tired, but his eyes pleaded. "What are you doing here?" Elisa hissed, keeping her voice low. "Your father invited me. He doesn't know anything, Elisa. He still thinks we're together." "We're nothing," she snapped. "Leave. Please, just let me talk. There's nothing left to say." Then Mike appeared, cheerful and oblivious, slipping an arm around his daughter. "Mateus, I'm so glad you came. See, Elisa, I told you two would work things out. Every couple fights, now and then. He's a good man." Elisa's stomach turned. The night dragged on like a bad dream. She avoided Mateus, avoided Anne, forced smiles for her father's guests. When she finally escaped toward the hallway to breathe, she caught voices coming from a storage room at the back. The door was slightly open. She froze. "You promised you'd end things with her for good," Anne whispered urgently. "I did," Mateus replied. "She won't even talk to me anymore." "Good. That means we can finally be together. Anne, we have to be careful. Mike can't suspect a thing." Anne let out a low laugh, cruel, calculated. "He won't. He's blind with love. Once he transfers the house to my name, we'll have everything." Elisa's blood ran cold. Are you sure he'll do it? Mateus asked. Absolutely. He'd do anything for me. It's only a matter of time. Elisa couldn't take it anymore. She shoved the door open. You monster! Anne jumped, pale as a ghost. Mateus dropped his glass, shards scattering across the floor. Elisa, Anne began. You're planning to steal from my father, Elisa screamed, her voice breaking. You're using him for money. The music from the party faltered. Guests began gathering in the hallway. Elisa, calm down, Anne stammered, her voice trembling. You're misunderstanding. I understand perfectly. Then Mike appeared in the doorway, confused. What's going on here? Dad, they're together. She's only with you for the money. I heard them. They're planning everything. Anne's tears came instantly, perfect, rehearsed. Mike, do you believe this? She cried, running to him. She's inventing things because she's hurt. She can't accept that she and Mateus ended things. Mike looked at Elisa, torn. Sweetheart, that doesn't make sense. It's true, Dad. They're lying. Mateus shook his head. Elisa, you're mistaken. I was just helping Anne move a few things. Anne buried her face in Mike's chest, sobbing, and he believed her. That's enough, Elisa, Mike said, softly, but his tone cut like glass. You need rest. Go home. We'll talk later. Elisa stared at him, heartbroken. He didn't believe her. Her own father didn't believe her. I'm telling the truth, she whispered, but no one was listening. She left the house like a shadow, the ghost of the daughter she used to be. And for the first time, Elisa felt utterly alone in the world. A month passed. Silence stretched like an ocean between Elisa and her father. He didn't call. She didn't either. Anne had won, twisting lies into roots too deep to untangle. It was a grey Thursday afternoon when Elisa stepped into a small cafe near the university. Rain threatened outside, the air heavy and cold. The place smelled of fresh espresso and hope, things she hadn't felt in weeks. She ordered a cappuccino and sat in the corner, laptop open but untouched. Her creativity, her light, her trust, all gone. Elisa? A man's voice pulled her back to reality. She looked up, and there he was. Marcos. He wore a light blue dress shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, a leather briefcase in one hand. His dark eyes widened with surprise. But behind it, there was something else. Concern. Marcos, Elisa whispered, unsure what else to say. Mind if I sit? He asked softly, his voice as gentle as she remembered. She hesitated, then nodded toward the empty chair. He ordered a coffee and returned, sitting across from her with quiet care, as if one wrong move might shatter her completely. You look different, he said, studying her face. Elisa gave a short, bitter laugh. That's a polite way of saying I look terrible. Not what I meant, he said quickly. Just tired and sad. What happened, Elisa? Something in his tone, the genuine kindness, the patience, broke through her walls. She hadn't told anyone, not a soul, and here he was, looking at her like she still mattered. A lot happened, she murmured, stirring her cup. Too much to even know where to start. I've got time, he said simply, and just like that the dam broke. She told him everything, Mateus's distance, the trip to the beach, the elevator, the betrayal, the conspiracy, her father's disbelief. Every memory she had tried to bury spilled out in fragments of pain and shame. Marcos didn't interrupt once. He just listened, his eyes fixed on her, absorbing every word. By the time she finished, tears stained her cheeks, but she didn't bother to wipe them away. I'm so sorry, he said finally, his voice heavy with sincerity. Elisa, I always knew Mateus wasn't right for you. You did, she asked, puzzled. Not about the affair, but I've known him for years. He always had to win, to have the best, to be the first. That night at the bar, Marcos paused, running a hand through his hair. I was going to talk to you first, but when he saw my interest, it became a competition. You weren't a person to him, you were a trophy. Elisa's chest tightened. Why didn't you tell me? Because you looked happy, he admitted quietly. "And who was I to take that away from you? You barely knew me." Silence hung between them, but it wasn't empty. It was warm, filled with the quiet hum of the cafe and the smell of coffee beans. Then Elisa realized something. "You believed me," she said softly. "I told you all of this, and you didn't even question it." Marcos reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "Why would I doubt you? I know Mateus, and I know you. Maybe not as much as I'd like. Too, but enough to trust that you're telling the truth." Her throat tightened. For weeks, she had been living in a world where no one believed her. That simple gesture, his hand, his faith, felt like sunlight breaking through the clouds. "Thank you," she whispered, "for believing me." From that day on, they started seeing each other more often. Marcos had a quiet strength. He didn't rush her, didn't try to fix her pain. He just stayed, offering company instead of solutions. They walked along the beach at sunset, talking about books, dreams, the future. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they just listened to the waves. Marcos told her about work, about the awkwardness of sharing an office with Mateus. "You still work with him?" Elisa asked one evening, their bare feet sinking into the sand. "For now, but I keep my distance, just enough to stay professional," he said, kicking a seashell. "It's hard to look at him and not think of what he did to you." Elisa stopped and looked out at the sea, the horizon glowing orange and violet. "Sometimes I wonder if I was just naive, if the signs were always there, and I just didn't want to see them." Marcos stepped closer, his voice low. "Trusting someone isn't naive, Elisa. It's brave. The mistake wasn't yours, it was his for not deserving that trust." She turned to him, a faint, genuine smile curving her lips, the first in weeks. "How do you always know exactly what to say?" Marcos smiled too, that calm, kind smile that reached his eyes. "I don't. I just tell you what's true." 2 weeks later, on a bright afternoon, Elisa went to meet Mateus for lunch. She arrived early and waited in the parking lot outside his office. Scrolling through her phone, she caught a movement out of the corner of her eye. Across the lot, leaning against a black car, was Marcos, and walking toward him with a smile and a rush in her step was Anne. Elisa froze. Instinctively, she crouched behind a parked car, watching in disbelief as Anne threw her arms around Marcos and kissed him passionately. They laughed, whispered, utterly careless, completely unafraid of being seen. Her hands trembled as she lifted her phone, snapping photos one after another. Each click was a wound, but also proof. Proof of what she already knew, yet no one had believed. When she finally stood up, Mateus was behind her. He had just come out of the building and had seen the look on her face and the photos on her phone. "I've seen that woman with Marcos before," he said quietly. "Didn't realize she was your stepmother. Every Wednesday, some of the guys from work hang out at the club and she's always the one who drops him off." Elisa's voice didn't tremble anymore. "My father needs to know the truth. I can't let that woman destroy him." Mateus nodded, his tone steady. "Then let's do it right. Let's give him proof he can't deny. Something final." For the first time since her world had fallen apart, Elisa felt a spark of hope. "You'd help me?" she asked softly. "Elisa," he said, cupping her face gently, "I'd do anything for you, anything." And there, under the golden afternoon sun, something began to awaken inside her. She was no longer the woman who had been betrayed. She was someone ready to fight back, and this time, she wouldn't fight alone. In the days that followed, Elisa and Mateus met often. While they planned how to expose Anne and Marcos, something deeper began to grow between them. Something Elisa hadn't expected to feel. Again, Mateus was different. He didn't promise too much or try to fix her pain. He simply stayed, steady, calm, and present, like an anchor in the storm her life had become. One evening, he invited her to dinner at his apartment. It was warm and full of life. Shelves stacked with books, green plants on the window ledge, and a city view glowing beneath the sunset. He cooked pasta with homemade sauce, lighting candles on the balcony table. "You cook?" Elisa asked, surprised and touched. "Badly," he laughed, pouring wine. "But my mum used to say a man who can't cook can't care." They talked for hours, about books, old movies, childhood dreams, and places they still wanted to see. He told stories about growing up in a small town, and she found herself laughing again, really laughing, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in so long. Later, they sat on the couch, city lights flickering below. Elisa turned to him. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Always." "Why were you never married? A man like you." He smiled, but there was sadness behind it. "Because I was waiting for something real. Every time I thought I'd found it, I realized something was missing. That feeling of being truly seen." She nodded slowly. "And now, are you still looking?" He met her eyes, the air between them humming softly. "No," he said, "not anymore." He leaned in, giving her time to pull away if she wanted, but she didn't. When their lips met, it wasn't about desire or urgency. It was gentleness, understanding, the quiet promise of safety. When they parted, Elisa whispered, "I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm ready for this." Mateus smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Hey, you don't have to be. There's no rush. I'm not going anywhere, Elisa. We'll go at your pace, and for the first time in a long, long while." She believed him. Those words touched something deep inside her. For the first time, someone wasn't trying to rush her, fix her, or change her. Someone simply accepted her exactly as she was. Elisa began to find herself again. She went back to writing, words flowing freely once more. She wrote about pain, betrayal, but also about rebirth, about the strength that grows from the ashes, about women who fall but rise even stronger. Her graduate advisor noticed the shift. "What happened to you, Elisa?" he asked one afternoon. "Your writing feels powerful, raw, different." She smiled softly. Life happened. She started taking care of herself. Again, eating better, sleeping well, buying new clothes, cutting her hair. Each small act was a quiet declaration. She would no longer be defined by what Marcos and Anne had done to her. And through it all, Mateus was there. He took her to new places, encouraged her projects, read her stories, and gave honest feedback. Slowly, Elisa felt her heart reopening. Fragile, but alive. Still, one wound refused to heal: her father's silence. "I miss him," she confessed one afternoon as they walked through the park. "But how can I reach him if he still doesn't believe me?" Mateus looked at her with calm conviction. "Then we'll show him the truth in a way he can't deny. That's why we have to be smart." They had discovered that Marcos and Anne met every Wednesday at the same time in the office parking lot. Reckless, overconfident, believing no one would ever find out. "We need your father to see it with his own eyes," Mateus said. "Photos won't be enough. Anne will lie, twist everything. But if he witnesses it himself..." Elisa stopped walking, meeting his gaze. "You'd really risk your job for me?" "Elisa," he said, taking her hands, "this isn't about work. It's about justice. Anne is using your father. Marcos is betraying a good man. Someone has to stop them. And if it all goes wrong, then at least you'll know you tried. And I'll be right there with you, and no matter what happens." She hugged him right there in the middle of the park, feeling something she hadn't felt in months. The certainty that she wasn't alone anymore. Someone was fighting for her, with her. That night, her phone buzzed with a message she never expected. "Elisa, can we talk? I miss you. Dad." Her heart raced. She stared at the screen, torn between love and fear. Part of her wanted to run to him. Another part was terrified of being hurt again. She called Mateus. "My father wants to meet." "And do you want that?" Yes, no, I don't know. What's your heart saying? She took a deep breath. That I have to try. Then try, just don't mention the plan yet. Let him speak first. The next day, Elisa met Mike at a quiet cafe. He looked thinner, tired, with dark circles under his eyes. When he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. "My daughter," he said, standing to hug her tightly, "you have no idea how much I've missed you." Elisa's own tears came freely. "I missed you too, Dad." They sat and talked about the house, about old memories, about how empty everything felt without her laughter. But he never mentioned Anne, never mentioned that terrible night. Elisa realized he wasn't ready to hear the truth yet. Anne still had her claws deep in him, but that would soon change. "Dad," she said softly, holding his hand, "I love you. You need to know that." "I love you too, sweetheart. Always will." When they said goodbye, Elisa felt both hope and resolve burning in her chest. Her father deserved to be free, to see the truth, and she would make sure he did. That night, Elisa and Matthias finalized the plan. Next Wednesday, 6 p.m., the company parking lot. Mike would think he was meeting Elisa nearby, and at the right moment, she would lead him straight to the truth. The Wednesday morning broke heavy, thick with tension. Elisa woke with her stomach in knots, her pulse echoing in her ears. "Today's the day," she whispered to her reflection. "He'll finally know the truth." Her phone buzzed, a message from Mike confirming their coffee. She typed a shaky thumbs up in reply. Outside, Matthias waited 2 blocks away. When she reached him, he took her cold hands and searched her eyes. "Are you sure about this? You still have time to change your mind." Elisa shook her head. "My father deserves to know. He deserves to be free from her." He nodded, pulling her into a brief hug before heading toward the parking lot. Everything was set. Anne and Marcos had met there every Wednesday at 6, like clockwork. And today, Mike would finally see what his daughter had been trying to tell him all along. When Mike arrived, Elisa told him she just needed to grab a few papers from her office nearby. As they walked, her phone buzzed again. "They're here. Everything's ready," Matthias had written. Elisa's heart raced. The black car pulled into its usual corner spot, hidden from the street. Anne and Marcos were inside, laughing, touching, completely unaware that their secret world was seconds away from collapsing. Mike was mid-laugh when his gaze froze. His smile faded. "Isn't that Anne's car?" Elisa swallowed. "I think it is." He took a few steps forward, faster now, eyes narrowing. Then he stopped cold. Inside the car, Anne sat straddling Marcos, their hands tangled, their lips locked. "No, no, no, no." The words fell from Mike's mouth like a wound opening. His face twisted with disbelief. He slammed his palm on the car window. "Get out! Now!" Anne jerked upright, color draining from her face. She fumbled for the door handle, voice trembling. "Mike, please, I can explain." "Explain? Explain what? That you're cheating on me? With my daughter's boyfriend?" Marcos stepped out but kept his distance. "Mr. Mike, Don't you dare speak to me." Mike's voice cracked with fury. "I treated you like family, and you repaid me like this." Elisa stepped forward, her tears mixing with rain. "Dad, I tried to tell you. On your birthday and before that. I saw them together. At the hotel, on the beach. You didn't believe me." Mike's shoulders slumped. His hands covered his face. "My God, Elisa, I didn't believe you." Anne stumbled closer, desperate. "Mike, it was a mistake. I love you, I swear." "A mistake?" he snapped, his voice raw. "You've been seeing him for months. You made my daughter look insane. You destroyed my family." Elisa's tone hardened. "And it wasn't just betrayal, Dad. I heard them talking. Anne's been using you. She wanted you to transfer the house to her name. They planned to take everything." Anne's face turned ghostly. "That's a lie." She's making it up. I heard you, Anne, Elisa shouted. On your birthday night, you and Marcos plotting in the next room. Mike stared at Anne, really saw her. For the first time, the illusion was gone. The woman he'd trusted was a stranger now. Get out of my sight, he said quietly, dangerously. Take what's yours, nothing else. If you steal a single thing, I'll call the police. Anne opened her mouth, but no sound came. She turned to Marcos for help, but he was already in the car, speeding off. She stood there alone, shaking, abandoned by the man she'd ruined everything for. Mike turned to Elisa, tears in his eyes. My daughter, forgive me for not believing you, for choosing her over you. Elisa fell into his arms. I forgive you, Dad. I just wanted you back. From a distance, Mateus watched silently, relief softening his features. Elisa looked up and met his eyes. No words were needed, just one look that said everything. Thank you. The truth had finally spoken, and Elisa was free. Here's your translated and cinematic version of the text, condensed and smoothed for narrative flow and emotional impact. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Mike had kept his word. Anne was gone by the next morning, taking only her personal belongings. She had tried to argue, even threatened legal action, but when Mike saw the photos and videos Elisa had gathered, along with the proof of Anne's plan to steal his property, there was no escaping the truth. Elisa spent hours helping her father clear the house of every trace Anne had left behind. Each item, each carefully chosen decoration went into boxes, a quiet, therapeutic act, like cleaning out an infected wound. I was so blind, Mike admitted, holding an old photo of Elisa as a child. How did I not see it? All the signs were there. Elisa leaned on his shoulder. Because you love, Dad. When you love, you want to believe in the best of people. That doesn't make you foolish. It makes you human. He nodded, wiping away tears. And this young man, Mateus, he helped you with all this. Elisa blushed slightly. Yes, he was by my side when I had no one else. Meanwhile, Marcos faced the consequences at the office. Rumors had already spread after witnesses saw what happened in the parking lot. Every glance, every whisper in the hallway reminded him of his betrayal. He confronted Mateus in his office. We need to talk, Marcos said, anger and desperation mixing in his voice. There's nothing to talk about, Mateus replied coldly, eyes on his documents. You planned this. You and Elisa set me up. Mateus finally looked up. I didn't plan anything. You and Anne did it yourselves. I just made sure the truth came out. You just wanted Elisa for yourself, Marcos accused, stepping closer. I wanted to protect her and her father from people who would hurt them. You proved you could never be that man, Mateus said firmly. Love isn't about winning or possessing. It's about respect, protection, choosing the other person every day. You never understood that. Marcos clenched his fists, silent, knowing deep down it was true. Weeks later, he resigned and moved to New York. No one noticed. Anne also vanished. Without Mike or the luxurious lifestyle she'd grown used to, she had no reason to stay. Rumor had it she moved in with a sister across the state, starting over. A small part of Elisa felt pity, but only a small part. A month later, Mike invited Elisa and Mateus to dinner at his home. A private chef prepared the meal, the table beautifully set. I want to thank you both, Mike said, raising his glass. Elisa, for never giving up on me, and Mateus, for protecting my daughter when I failed. Call me Mike, he said, shaking his head at Mateus. You saved me from losing everything, my home, my dignity, and most importantly, you gave me my daughter back. No words can express that. They toasted. Elisa's heart swelled. She looked at the two men who now meant everything, her father, finally free and healing, and Mateus, who had become far more than she ever expected. 6 months later, her first book was published, Between Shadows and New Beginnings. Fiction, but filled with pieces of her own journey. A story of betrayal, pain, and the resilience that comes from rising again. At the bookstore launch in downtown Chicago, Mike sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Mateus stood beside him, filming every moment. Elisa read the first chapter aloud. Her voice was steady, filled with conviction. Women in the audience nodded, some wiping tears, some smiling in recognition. They understood. All carried scars of their own. All had stories of survival. That evening, celebrating with Mike and Mateus at a nearby restaurant, Elisa looked at the two men and smiled. "I love you both," she said softly, "and I'm grateful for everything we went through. It brought me here." Mike squeezed her hand. "And this is only the beginning. Your future is bright." Mateus pulled her close and kissed her, a promise of love and strength for the life ahead. A year had passed since that fateful night in the parking lot. A year of transformation, healing, and rediscovery. Elisa sat at her desk in her new apartment near the university, morning sunlight spilling across the pages of her second manuscript. Her phone buzzed. It was Mateus. "Good morning, famous author," he said, and Elisa could hear the smile in his voice. "Famous is a stretch." She laughed. "But good morning to you too. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Before she could protest, he hung up. Elisa shook her head, smiling. Their relationship had deepened in ways she had never imagined. Mateus wasn't just her boyfriend. He was her best friend, her confidant, her safe harbor. Later that day, she had lunch with her father, Mike. The past year had changed him profoundly, lighter, more present. Therapy had helped him process betrayal and rebuild his self-esteem, something he never would have considered before. She told him about the publisher's offer for her new book. Mike hit the table, excitement lighting up his face. "My daughter! I always knew you had talent. Your mother would be so proud." The mention of her late mother brought tears to both of their eyes. "And you, Dad, how are things?" Mike sipped water, thoughtful. "Different, but good. I've started doing things I'd neglected. Tennis, a book club." "A book club?" Elisa raised her eyebrows, amused. "Hey, I can be cultured too," he laughed. I met someone there." Elisa's heart skipped. "Someone?" "It's early," Mike said quickly, "but she's interesting. A teacher, a widow, loves literature. We talk a lot. Nothing serious yet, but it's honest companionship." Elisa squeezed her father's hand. "I'm happy for you, Dad. Truly, you deserve to be happy. You deserve someone who values you." "And you and Mateus?" Mike asked. "Things serious?" Elisa felt her cheeks flush. "Very serious. He is everything I ever dreamed of, though I didn't even know what I was looking for." "Then hold on to him," Mike said firmly. "Good men are rare. That one is gold." 2 months later, on a simple yet beautiful beach ceremony, Elisa and Mateus were married. Mike walked his daughter down the sandy aisle, pride and tears in his eyes. Sitting in the front row was Helena, the teacher who had captured his heart at the book club. Elisa wore a simple white dress, flowers woven into her hair, her bare feet sinking into the sand. She had never felt more beautiful, more whole. When Mateus saw her approaching, tears sprang to his eyes. Their vows carried a truth so palpable, everyone present felt it. And when they were declared husband and wife, kissing beneath the orange glow of sunset, Elisa felt she had finally arrived at the place she was meant to be. The celebration was intimate, filled with music, laughter, and dancing. At one point, Elisa danced with her father, who whispered in her ear, "You've made me prouder than words can say." Later, when Elisa tossed her bouquet, it flew straight into Helena's hands. She laughed in surprise as Mike hugged her from behind, both grinning like young lovers, discovering joy anew. The summer sun bathed the garden of their new home in golden warm light. Elisa sat in a comfortable chair beneath the shade of a small tree, a laptop resting on her lap, but her fingers didn't move. She simply watched the scene in front of her, a serene smile on her face. Matthias was on the lawn, wrestling with an inflatable pool for their daughter, sweating and laughing as he fought the air pump. Beside him, Mike tried to help, but mostly got in the way, cracking jokes that left them both gasping for breath. "You two are hopeless with this stuff," Helena called from the porch, carrying a pitcher of lemonade. She wore a light floral dress, her silver hair pinned up casually. "Want me to call someone who actually knows what they're doing?" "We've got this." "Honey!" Mike shouted, though the pool was still deflated. Elisa laughed, closing her laptop. Her third book was nearly finished, but in that moment, she wanted nothing more than to soak in this scene, this peace, this family rebuilt from the ruins. Over the past 2 years, in addition to writing, Elisa had begun giving talks on female empowerment, overcoming trauma, and finding strength in new beginnings. Her story inspired thousands of women across the country. "And you?" Elisa asked, looking at Helena. "How are things with Dad?" Helena blushed slightly, an endearing sight on a woman of 52. "Very well, actually. He asked me to move in officially." "Really?" Elisa's eyes lit up. "And you said yes?" "Already did," Helena laughed. "But don't tell him I told you. He wants to make the announcement himself today." Later, when the pool was finally set up and filled with water, everyone gathered around the garden table. Matthias had prepared a barbecue, the smell of roasted meat mingling with the scent of flowers Elisa had planted. "I want to make a toast," Mike said, lifting his glass of wine. He looked around the table at Elisa, Matthias, and Helena. 2 years ago, I was in a very dark place. I had lost my daughter because of my own mistakes. I was being manipulated, used. My life was a lie." He paused, steadying his emotion. "But you three saved me. Elisa, you never gave up on me, even when I didn't deserve your loyalty. Matthias, you protected her when I failed. And Helena..." He looked at her with so much love that Elisa felt tears prick her eyes. "You've shown me it's never too late to start again. That love can be kind, honest, simple." "Dad," Elisa began, but he shook his head. "Let me finish. I want you to know that you are my family, my true family, and I am grateful every day for this second chance to do things right." Glasses clinked, tears of joy shining on many faces. Meanwhile, far away, Matthias's life was a series of failed attempts. Job to job, relationship to relationship, always searching for something he could never find. Anne returned to her hometown, living with her mother, working a simple job. The woman who once thrived on appearances now lived a life of forced simplicity. Some would call it justice. Elisa preferred to see it as consequence. Everyone reaps what they sow. 3 months later, Elisa gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, dark-eyed with soft brown hair. Holding her daughter, she cried tears of joy. "Welcome to the world, Aurora," she whispered, kissing the tiny head. "Mommy promises to teach you to be strong, to trust yourself, to never let anyone dim your light." Matthias stood by the bed, tears in his eyes, capturing every moment on camera. "She's perfect," he said, touching her tiny hand, just like her mother. Mike and Helena arrived soon after, bringing flowers and gifts. The hospital room overflowed with love, laughter, and hope. As Elisa looked at these people, her husband, her father, her heart's stepmother, her newborn daughter, she knew with absolute certainty that she had done the right thing by never giving up. If you've ever been betrayed, dismissed, or manipulated, know this: you are not alone. Your story does not end in pain. It gains a new chapter, a chapter you write yourself, with strength, wisdom, and the knowledge that you deserve all the true love in the world. And you? Have you ever faced hardship that led you to a better place? Share your story, inspire others, and let's lift each other up. The end. Thank you for staying until the end. You are an essential part of this journey. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and subscribe so we can create more tales of love, resilience, and new beginnings.